right, bro. Hey, this is the longest time I've ever done, so this is kind of freaking me out. But it is really good to see you guys. Has anybody growing up get into a lot of trouble? Anybody get into like some rock star trouble before you were a rock star? Okay, well I always, yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be great.
All the cookies.
Yeah, I ate all the cookies. Ate all the cookies, and I sold them too. Yeah. Well, I got in trouble for having some drugs on me and stuff, and I got this with crank, pot, opium, ecstasy, mushroom, heroin, and distribution of LSD, methamphetamines, and heroin to an undercover. Not a good day. Not a good day at all. Well, they got excited about it. I was like, man, I'm just trying to party and stuff. And they were like, yeah, but well, why don't you party with us for a little while? And so they took me down, and yeah, my folks, I had driven them nuts. They were not trying to help me out of this situation. So, anyways, I ended up doing a little bit of time for this. I got no problem. I feel comfortable enough to tell you this. It's okay. You'll look me up anyways. You can't. No, it's embarrassing. The pictures they take. Wow. Okay. Well, anyways, I ended up going to prison for this stuff, and you end up at a place called Lexington A&R, and that's admission and receiving, okay? And they do a battery of testing, try to figure out if you're like a sociopath, you know, and they'll do blood work on you and all this stuff. Okay, well, one of the tests they do up there is this guy called Dr. Goldfinger. He's no good. He got me. You always remember your first time, you know, 18 years old, and they take me into this room. There's all these big low-down dudes, and they're like, ain't sticking nothing in me. And they end up walking out of this room like, can you just get me back in my cell? And one of it slips out because there's nothing to stop. You can't go, you know, we got that much loot in there. I found out. I'm just saying. Oh, no, you find out the hard way, dude. I speak from experience. Anyway, so you go in this room, and there's a bunch of gloves with one dirty finger hanging out of the trash can. And you're like, I think about my work during the day, and I'm like, this guy thinks about his work during the day. That is nasty. But, okay, so hundreds of guys go through there, and it kind of has this stench of booty in the air. And he's like, sir, could you bend over? And I'm like, we really don't have to go through this. Nobody in my senior class is bitching about having colon cancer, you know? And I don't have anything stuck up there. I'm a little bit, and he bent me over kind of like this. And I was like, and he's like, are you ready for this? And I was like, as ready as I'm ever going to be. Hey! And he got me. And I turned around, and I was just kind of like, what's next? And he was like, sure, you can leave now. And I was like, really? That's all I get? A finger in my butt, and I don't get anything in return? He was like, you can just exit. So I was like, it was one of those goofy-ass experiences. But when I got back to my cell, they feed you chicken, okay, on Sunday nights, and they give you habanero peppers, and this is what you eat. It's kind of like your multivitamin while you're in there, because they don't exactly treat you very well. So the next morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, they come in and they're like, Rundus, you need to bunk and jump your head with us. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I head up to the Green Lizard, which is this bus, and they shackle you up from here, here, and down here. So you're not going anywhere, and you go into this bus, and you know you're going to be sitting there 4, 8, 16 hours sometimes, okay? Well, this is a long time not to get to use the bathroom. And so you're sitting in there with a bunch of convicts, and I've never had anything more degrading even than Dr. Goldfinger, than when I'm sitting next to this old-ass convict, and I feel that habanero start to simmer and burn, and I know what's coming. And there's nowhere to go, because they're not going to let you off at a 7-Eleven, okay? So I'm sitting there against the panel, and when you're holding your sphincter as hard as you can, and finally, I swear to God, 3 gallons of ass sewage starts coming out of your butt like a mudslide, and you can feel it splashing up your back, and it feels like snails and slugs sliding down. It did! Okay? It's juicy, and I don't know why it's happening to me. So anyways, when you say all the prayers like you do when you're drunk and stuff, dear God, I'll never do anything bad like this again. But you can't get over this overwhelming fact of what you've just done. Okay, well, I gotta sit and marinate in this stuff for about an hour it's no lie. Until I get to McAllister, which is where I'm going. I'm not excited about this. You pull up to these big walls, and it's an ominous feeling, you know? And I've got shit all over me. I'm smelling like jailbait. I guess they love that shit. So they call my name, and I hop up, and I'm like, fuck. Everything starts coming down my back, and I'm like, excuse me and shit. And it's this cracker-ass motherfucker, and I'm like, what the fuck would happen next, you know? And I've got this stuff coming down, and I can still feel it. And as I hop down the steps, there's little pieces of cabbage and corn. Cabbage and corn on these stairs. And I tell him, I'm like, hey, boss man, you gotta let me out of these things. And he's like, okay, so he takes me into this room as we get into the rotunda. And I take my jumpsuit off, and he tells me to throw it into the trash can, okay? And he comes back in, and he's like, I don't have one for you. So I have to put this thing back on, covered in shit, and walk through the center of McAllister like this, and they're all yelling, fresh meat, Skinner, and all this stuff. I'm like, no, really, you don't want any of this. You don't want any of this. This is not what you need in your life. So, it's not a lot. But, yeah, so that's a couple things. And I'm single, by the way. But I've been tested and I have papers. I'm so clean. I really am. And I'm a nice guy anymore. That's just a couple of good reasons not to, you know, get busted and get caught, I guess. Oh, shit. So, yeah, I am single. And what's funny about being single is you end up learning a lot about yourself. And, like, you'll get extra cleaned up when it's time to, like, go to Walmart, and you're like, you know, spritzed up to go hunting in Cougar Town. You know? And it's just the things you tell yourself before you dance in the mirror with a wig. Just like, because nobody's around, I don't have hair, whatever. Oh, I should have brought the wig to prove it. But, yeah, so anyways, but what's funny about being single is, like, I definitely, if I was to get attacked by a knife-wielding guy, in the middle of the night, he would come in and be like, I got you, and I'm like, fuck, again, seriously, I could grab these boxers that are next to my bed that are so stiff and rigid with my DNA, I could cut him up like ribbons, like shit. I swear, no, they're crusty. You can touch your foot if you don't see them when you're getting out of your bed. Ah, jeez. But hey, what's funny when you're single is like your sex life. It's always a mixed bag of goodies. You never know who you're bringing home. And it might be the girl who's kind of like, you know, just missionary and stuff. And when you pull away, you're like, I'm angelic, like, should I have been in there? What's off, dude? I don't know. Or you get the girl who's like, could you like tie me up and say, you're like, I guess, and stuff. You tie her, she's like, could you hog tie me and hang from the ceiling? They're like, yeah, is that cool? She's like, corn cob up the butt. You're like, insert. And she's like, okay, can you give me a facial? And you're like, okay, I could have done this without all the trouble, and I could have saved my corn cob. You know? Anyways, no. Okay, hey, how about the chick? This is real. How about the girl who digs the condom out of the trash can and tries to pour it back into herself? For real, you're trying to be safe and stuff, and I'm coming out of the restroom, I see her laying on the bed, she's got her knees up in the air, and she's got, you remember those popsicles that are like, and when you get to the finish and you drain them back into your mouth, she's doing that right there with the sperm squeezing would be the flavor of that popsicle. I thought of that. I did. But so yeah, and I'm like, I see this and I realize what's going on. I'm like, hey, what the? Yeah, and the rubber splashes, hits the wall, splat, starts coming down like a wacky wall walker, and I'm like, really? What? You know, just trying to be safe and stuff. Anyway, I am Rundus. That's my time. Thank you guys. And,